You're ready to create digital download products, but you're not quite sure what to sell yet. Well, stay tuned because in today's video, I have over 17 ideas that you can get started with. Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Christina Scalera, and I help you turn your services into digital download products that you sell through an online store. If you want the backstory on how I did that myself and how that is a sustainable shop that runs itself these days, you'll definitely want to subscribe to this channel because I talk all about where I got started and where my business, my shop is today. Speaking of getting started, that's what I'm here to help you do today. And one of the first things you can do as you're getting started and thinking about the different kinds of digital download products to create is think about what you already have. So what assets have you already created for your business? Do you have any kind of online courses that you could pull templates and worksheets and resources out of and sell by themselves as your digital download products? For example, in any of my programs, we have workbooks that accompany the program. And while it's super helpful to have the learning and teaching materials alongside the workbook that walk you through it, I could totally sell those workbooks by themselves. Most of you aren't starting with courses though. You're starting with one-on-one services or done-for-you client work. And if that's the case, then you have a repeatable process that you go through every single time you work with a client. If you would like to pull your step-by-step process out and turn it into some sort of checklist or Asana board or ClickUp template, that would be a great place to start so that other people can emulate your process with your clients, even though maybe they can't afford to hire you to do the services for them. This is more or less how I got started with my template shop because I was able to see the one part of the client onboarding process that was getting everybody hung up and stuck, which was their client contracts. And that's what led me to create my store, the Contract Shop. One non-traditional e-commerce store model that I really like is when designers turn their quotes or artwork or designs into tangible items that are drop shipped from somewhere else. So drop shipping just means that you don't have to handle any of the inventory, the fulfillment, the shipping, nothing. You just upload your design to a pre-made website and they handle everything when someone buys from that website. For example, this is a design that we have drop shipped from Printed Mint, and we send these to our customers who spend over $500 inside the Contract Shop. It's just a cute little mug that says flawless, which alludes to our main program there called Lawless to Flawless, and we love surprising them with this. But you could sell these in a store online and never have to touch inventory. In fact, I would say that's one of the smartest e-commerce models because people get to love and enjoy your design and artwork, and you don't have to do anything but manage your digital shop, which is pretty easy. It's mostly just uploading your artwork as files, maybe PNGs or JPEGs, whatever works best for you, and then making sure that the money is depositing to the correct account. You just get to wake up and see that money in your bank. That's pretty cool. Another really popular item in e-commerce these days is anything that has to do with social media, particularly Pinterest or Instagram. These are the two hottest platforms, and YouTube comes in a close third. Anytime you can create graphic packs for any of these platforms, it can be really helpful. I know there's a lot of you who are already selling Canva designs and Canva packs, but I want to encourage you to think one step further with these. For example, just last night, I was trying to feature all the FAQs for my new program, Launch Your Shop Academy, that just came out, but I couldn't find an FAQ template. So while there's a lot of Instagram story templates out there, there was none that fit me as a course and a program creator trying to showcase the finer points of my program to my audience on Instagram. I had to make those from scratch on Canva. So even though there's already a lot of daily Instagram story templates and things like that, there's really nothing that I have found that's geared to people in a specific situation like me who's trying to make a beautiful FAQ for my Instagram stories. Some other things I've had to create on my own are like the day planner. Maybe you've seen people where they have their daily agenda laid out on Instagram. So I've just had to kind of create that myself through either the Instagram app and text or on Canva, but using my own design. So even though there's a lot of Canva stuff that's already already out there. There is still so much more to do and explore. Start looking at the result that people are trying to get from their Canva templates and what they could be using them for, but they're not yet. And that's where a huge gap in the marketplace exists for your digital products in that area. Another great idea for any of you guys who are a little bit more advanced or designers is some sort of planner. Planners are super hot right now, and they're always a good idea, especially if you have a little bit of a dedicated following who's eager to learn more about how you plan your days or how you plan your content or social media or whatever aspect about your life that they are most interested in learning more about. We have a lot of design stuff that I've already thrown out there for those of you who are designers or aspiring designers. If you're a graphic designer or a coach or a combination of one of those things, you can always create things like branding kits and pre-made logos. Those are super popular because if you're helping people to get into business for the first time, they are going to need some sort of logo and some sort of branding. And so if you can help them with that by making it pre-made and available to them immediately, they're more likely to get started with the business. And then you as the business coach is likely to see success with that client since they're actually taking action quickly. For my copywriter friends out there are so many possibilities for you here. You can sell things like welcome sequence emails, shadow sequence emails, sales sequence emails, Instagram captions, Instagram reel ideas in the form of a checklist or an Asana board or ClickUp template, whatever that looks like for you. So there's lots and lots and lots of possibilities here that you can explore. Basically, anything that you would create for a client, you can create for the general internet, pretending like they are your client. So I would highly recommend you focus on one specialty area. For example, creating a sales page template for health coaches versus just a sales page template in general. But you can really lean into whatever specialties you want to serve, and you can apply what you do most for your clients or what you're best at to those specialties. This goes along with any kind of coaches out there. If you do have emails or sales pages that have performed well in the past, webinars, anything like that, you can sell the past version of those that you're no longer using, right? Because you're going to grow and iterate and make new things. So you can take those old versions and turn them into things that you sell in your digital product shop. For example, I know one famous copywriter and brand message coach who turned her past email sequence into just a general guide. So they weren't even templates, but she packaged them all up into one nice guide that you could download and print off. And you could use those emails for inspiration, even though she didn't have the templates. And she explicitly said, please do not use these emails word for word. So she wasn't even giving you the templates. And this was still a product she was selling for $197 USD. And yes, I bought it. Lots of other people bought it. So there are people who are buying these things, even when they're not templates. If you're not a coach, a designer, a copywriter, if you are more on the managerial or operational side of business, maybe you help people as a virtual assistant or online business manager, or maybe you do something that's a little bit more consulting or data driven, you can sell the templates and the spreadsheets that you use with your clients to the public. If it scares you to sell something that is so intimate to your client work, what I recommend to my clients as they're creating these kinds of products is to sell the light version. That means if you have a spreadsheet that has 57 columns, then maybe you only sell a spreadsheet that has it pared down to 10 columns instead. And you can let them know right there on the spreadsheet that this is just a partial light version of the real spreadsheet you use when you work with your clients. That's going to get them even more energized and excited to work with you because they're going to say, oh my gosh, look at what this 10-column worksheet did for me. I can't wait to see when I can afford it what her done for you services or consulting is going to do for me with all 57 columns. Another digital product idea for those of you who have been around the block like me is to take your freebies and sell them through your e-commerce store. This is invaluable for your audience because they don't have to hunt around the internet to find your freebies or the funnels that the freebies are housed in. They can just go to your e-commerce store and download them for $9, $19, $29, whatever you think the price is right for each of your freebies that are now turned into products. It doesn't even matter if they're still free somewhere on the internet because the value is in the speed and convenience that your customers are getting by going to one place and knowing that they have access to all of your freebies immediately. Another way I've liked to do this in the past is I will have a freebie for a couple months and it'll be free, and then we'll let people know that it's going away and going into my shop as a product. And so that's been a really effective way to add to our under $50 category in my e-commerce store. It's also a really effective effective way to grow your email list because they want that freebie before it disappears and they want it for free. So they are going to put their email on that list to get the freebie before it goes into your shop as a paid product. Once you have a rough idea of what it is that you're going to be selling, the first step is to break down what kind of result you will help your buyers to achieve through your digital download product. For example, in my online shop called The Contract Shop, I sell lots of different contract templates for different niches, and each one of those contracts helps you to work with clients in just minutes. And so the result that I bring for people is making sure that they have a valid legal document that they can bring to a client that makes them look professional and put together, but also covers both their interests and their client's interests. So a very specific result, and then I kind of layer the niche of what that person is, the service that they provide, right on top of that product. I had a client last year, her name is Sophie Heron, and she created funeral programs and different kinds of graphic design templates that you would need in the event of someone's untimely demise, or timely, I guess, if they are of the age where that thing happens. But she served a very specific market of people that are grieving. They need something easy because their mind is on other things. And they're kind of over that really boring, really ugly, old, dated funeral program and stationery that comes with it. They want to help honor their loved ones that have passed with these beautiful pieces of digital design that can be passed around to commemorate their life. Yet another example is another client I have worked with in the past. Her name is Carrie, and she has the SOP shop. And in her shop, she sells all kinds of templates to help you get started and going with your business and streamlining that, making it more efficient. And so you can go to her shop and download things in just a fraction of the time that it would take for you to figure this out on your own, or even to take a course on it and then to develop your own SOPs, standard operating procedures, in the same way and fashion that she has, because she has so much expertise. So she's just handing you that expertise in a digital download product. Now that you have a pretty good idea of what digital download product you're going to create and the result that you're going to get for your audience, it's time to move on to step number 2, which is survey your audience. Before you create anything, it's really important to find out whether your audience actually wants to buy that product. It's also to figure out what container is best for your audience for that product. So for example, using my shop, I created a Contracts 101 workshop way back in the day, and I was like, wait, this is a terrible idea. Nobody wants to sit here on a whole Saturday. That's what it was gonna be, an in-person live workshop on a Saturday. No one wants to sit there and spend their beautiful spring Saturday in Atlanta, Georgia. It was like gorgeous outside. No one wanted to spend that with me learning about contracts and liability and right? Like we start to hear the Charlie Brown voice. Instead, what if I could just hand them the result through an efficient template rather than an online course or a workshop? And that's exactly what I did. And that's the premise of my entire shop, as well as many of my clients. Let's go back to Sophie's funeral program templates. If she was giving me some sort of guide or an ebook about how to create those templates, that would not work for her audience and that would not sell. Instead, she's giving them the actual templates themselves, and that's why those are selling. If you're gonna give someone a template for Asana, make sure it's already made in Asana and they can just one-click copy, paste, upload. If you're going to create some sort of ebook, make sure that your audience has enough time and energy to dedicate to consuming that ebook. If your audience doesn't have the bandwidth to consume the content that you are trying to sell, then they're not going to buy it in the first place. If you can accomplish the same thing with a checklist or a template, and the checklist is faster and easier, definitely go with the checklist rather than the template. Once again, it's all about that first step, getting them a great result. One last little tip here as you're surveying and finding out this information about your audience, pay particular attention to the types of phrases and words that they are using. And even if you wouldn't describe your products in that way, for example, I had an ebook early on that was called Legalize Your Biz, and I hated that phrase. But even though I wouldn't use that phrase to describe getting my business legit and like legal 101 type stuff, that's what they were using, and that's the language that resonated. So when I put an ebook out that was the exact same ebook called Legal 101 versus Legalize Your Biz, Guess which one sold better? Legalize your biz, because that's the language that they were using. Pay particular attention to this because your audience is your best copywriter. Now that you have that super solid foundation, the third step is to decide what you're going to use to create your digital download product. And immediately Canva comes to mind, but I actually don't like Canva. All of my digital download products start in Google Docs first. And that sounds kind of crazy, but next week I'm actually going to be breaking it down and showing you exactly how I sell my digital download products that are created from a Google Doc. So you'll want to make sure that you are subscribed and you don't miss that. Canva is great for a finished final design of your product after it's been selling for a few months, but it's not my favorite. Google Docs is actually my favorite program to create a new digital download product in because it's free. It's got a very low learning curve, whereas Canva took a little while for me to figure out. I know it's not as hard as Photoshop, but it was still some learning curve there. And Google Docs is also readily accessible and available everywhere. Plus, if you want, you can give people a copy of your digital download product to make it really easy for them to start checking things off, because Google has checklists. Or you can make it super easy for them to start filling out and sending things if it's a template, for example. Step 4 is to pre-sell your product. And this is the step that almost everyone misses because they're scared. And if you're scared to pre-sell, there are plenty of videos on this channel that walk you through the process and how to actually do it. But I just want to remind you that pre-selling is the only way to validate your offer, your product, to find out if people like it and to get some feedback about why it's not selling as well as it could be, or if it's selling really well. I have a student in one of my coaching programs right now, and she's doing amazing, but she's also getting great feedback as her product sells like wildfire. And it's been so fun to watch her collect that information and continue to improve the products. Now, mind you, some of this feedback might be a refund request or two. She's only had one, and she's sold dozens of products just by putting them on pre-sale. So this is something that can not only light a little fire under your booty if you have trouble with procrastination to get things out there into the world, because if it's pre-sold and someone already paid you for that product, you can bet that you're actually going to get it done and out there into the world. But also it can help you to fast forward your growth by making it the best possible product so that lots of people are able to buy it and share it with their friends and then just continue that buying cycle. And fifth and finally, I know we covered this a little bit in the last step, but you will want to directly ask for feedback. And this is super scary, but it's the best way to make sure that you reduce refund requests, because if people feel like you really care about them and their experience with your product, they are less likely to ask for a refund because they know that you're in it with them. And the way that I ask for feedback is just a couple days after purchase, I'll send an automated email. So my system will track, okay, they purchased on this date. We're going to send it 3 days later or 5 days later, whatever you want. I think I send mine 14 days later, so it's quite a bit after. But I just ask them, is there anything that I could have done to make this purchase a little bit better for you, easier? Is the product good? Is there anything you would change? And I use that feedback, I incorporate it. And now after over 8,000 sales, almost 9,000 at this point, I have so much feedback that has improved my products to the point where we have a less than 2% refund request, which is just like unheard of. Because remember, my shop has a 14-day any reason refund policy. So to have about a 2% or a little less than 2% refund rate is crazy. But it's because we did the work early on to collect this feedback, improve the products, and make sure that they were something that people were really excited about buying. My biggest piece of advice for you is do not overcomplicate this process. It's like taking a test when you were younger. If you forget something or you don't know how to do something, just skip that step to the best of your ability and keep going, because you can fill it in later. I'm going to take you behind the scenes to show you exactly how I create a digital download product for my shop that sells to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars every single year, completely on autopilot. If this sounds like something you want to have in your life, I want you to grab the free template I've linked below just for you so that you can get started on the right foot, not just watching me create this, but you can literally pause this video and walk through side by side with me as I go through it, because this is yours to access. As cute as this little pirate dress is, I'm going to flip the screen around and show you exactly how I work on any new digital download product so that you can get yours started today. I am so excited to show you this because people way overcomplicate their digital download products in tools like Canva and other apps. All you need is the simple Google Doc format. And if you click below this video, you're actually going to get this exact template. So you don't even have to do anything right now. Just sit back, relax, and follow along. As you can see, I start off every digital download product by reminding the purchaser what the name of the product is. And then if it needs a little tagline, that will go here. And then right here, I'll go ahead and give some sort of backstory. Basically, why did I create this product? What was it that was happening in my life or a customer or client's life that facilitated the need for this product to come into existence? And then these next few sections, this is where you can really start to get creative, and this is where you're going to apply your subject matter expertise. This is going to start to look different for each and every one of you. So you'll start off by titling your next section just to break up the text a little bit and add some visual interest. I know this isn't like the most interesting thing, but it's kind of designed this way on purpose so that we have a lot of black and white text that's easy for your customer to edit if that's part of their purchase, or to print out if they prefer to do that. I like to have 3 to 5 really juicy explanation points or journal prompts or pieces of a template that are going to be going to the purchaser, just because it looks visually interesting to have an odd number versus an even number. I know they'll be split up over many pages sometimes, but it just is a little bit higher design-wise versus having 1 or 2 things that can feel a little bit cheap. You're just going to go ahead and fill in the bulk of your digital products here. So if this is a template, if you want to go ahead and use the template I provided for you here and start creating some of those prompts or whatever your digital product is going to entail, the bulk of it is going to go here in this middle section. And then you're going to take the time at the end of your digital product to wrap up and review, maybe highlight any high-level things that they should have taken away from using your product. Or this is even a section where you can include some helpful pointers and tips in case they're getting stuck. On that point, inside my Launch Your Shop Academy course, I actually go into a whole training on what needs to come with your digital products. So this just kind of scratches the surface, but in order to cut down on customer service requests and to increase customer satisfaction so that they continue to buy from you, there's a whole set of little extras and bonuses that you'll want to include with your digital download product to make it a bestseller. I like to use this section at the end just to build in a little bit of relatability and my personality. That way, if they found me through a friend or they just made like an impulse purchase, they didn't really know me that well, this is the section where they can get to know me. One of the best tips I can give you for this right here, though, is to frame it in you sentences rather than I or my sentences. Anytime we're saying the words you or your, our readers, our customers are more likely to engage and take away from that content versus if it's just all me, I. Basically, anytime you start to find yourself writing an I am or I did or I was statement, try to reframe that in terms of what your customer would want to see. For example, instead of saying something like, I built my business to 5 figures plus every single month in this section, I would say something more like, you can see how I built my business to 5 figures plus every month by blah, blah, blah. Or instead of saying something like, these are my favorite crochet patterns and I hope you enjoy them too, you can say something more like, you are sure to love these crochet patterns when you use them in your daily life. I hope you're starting to see the flip there where we take these I statements and turn them into you statements. And then on the last page, this is totally optional, but I like to include a picture of myself just because in case, again, they found me from a friend or something, it just helps build connection and understanding, and we kind of get to know each other a little bit better, even though we're meeting digitally and not even meeting technically. Finally, for some of you who are therapists, nutritionists, health coaches, doctors, whatever your background is, it's always a good idea to include some sort of disclaimer so that people don't actually think that they're getting your nutrition counseling services through, say, a $10 digital download product. So I use this space at the very end that most people aren't reading anyway. They kind of got everything from the former pages. I'll use the space just to make sure that they know that I am not acting in a professional capacity. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only, or whatever language you want to use here. And I will also use this space because it's just kind of boilerplate language that's at the end, so people are already skipping over it. Many of you won't need this disclaimer, by the way. Don't force it. Don't feel like you have to have it if it doesn't fit with what you sell. Going back to that crochet example, I don't see an instance where you would need a disclaimer to sell your crochet templates, just as an example. That's it, quick and easy. And this is literally how all of my digital products are set up. Now that you've seen the bones behind all of this, let's take a look at what this looks like in real life. This is how I create all of my digital products. So you can see right here, title, subtext, a little story, background, blah, 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 right? Everything I just taught you. And then I don't have a picture in here, but I do have some calls to action to engage in further content and things like that at the end. And then we have the bulk of this product here. And this is what it looks like in real life. So when we look at the typed up version of it versus how it looks in real life, you can see that this is a really nicely laid out, clean, simple design, but this one is a little bit more jazzed up. It's in my brand colors for my shop, and this is the more finished, polished version of it that is just a little bit more put together. You can see the templates are a little bit more fun. However, all of my digital products start like this. And to be honest, if it's a template and not an email pack or something like this, I'll just keep it as a Google Doc because they're going to be editing that template. Now, the email pack that I'm showing you here, that was a little bit different because they weren't supposed to be just like straight up copying it like a template. But this is an example of how you can start with a Google Doc. And then if you want to have it more designed and in your brand colors and a little bit more pretty later, you can totally do that. But I like starting here because if there's a mistake or a grammatical error, which there always is, it doesn't matter how good you are at this stuff, there is going to be feedback and just some customer experience stuff that you'll want to change. And if you're already starting with something that's highly designed, that's going to be a lot more expensive and difficult for you to change. Plus, most of you aren't starting out with the budget for professional graphic design, so you can start selling this version of it. And then as your product sells, you can start to hire a graphic designer to create this version of it. That was so much fun. I had so much fun guiding you guys around and showing you what it looks like. I hope it was a little bit more simple and easy than you thought it was going to be, and that you use the momentum from today's video and maybe even doing it alongside of me to come up with your own digital download product and get it out there and selling in the world. And if you need help on getting these products selling, that's literally all I do on this channel. So what are you doing? Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you back next week where we'll be talking about even more ways to sell your digital download products in the easiest, most passive way possible.